trooper tells WLOS News in Asheville.
It's important that it gets back open as quickly as possible.
The repeal of net neutrality protections hits today. Diane King Hall of CBS MoneyWatch.com has the story.
Now, the Obama-era rules were intended to prevent internet providers from favoring, blocking, or slowing down access to specific online sites. The Republican-led FCC Commission voted to repeal the rules in December. Critics contend the repeal could give internet providers too much control over how online content is delivered.
Multiple agencies are continuing to work a triple death investigation in Littleton. A family member and neighbor said the victims are a grandfather, grandmother, and their adult grandson. Frankie Geralds tells ABC 11.
It scares me, but I got to stay here, you know, because this is the only place I have to stay.
4 teenagers are recovering after being shot outside of where a graduation party in North Carolina was held. WSOC reports that the shooting broke out shortly after midnight on Sunday in Kannapolis. Police say the 4 teenagers sustained non-life-threatening injuries. A small earthquake rattled Wilkes County in western North Carolina last night. Geologists say the 2.6 magnitude earthquake hit about a mile northeast of Hayes on Sawyer Road. You're listening to NCN News.
Taggart Cars presents the Man Expo, June 16th and 17th, Father's Day weekend at the NC State Fairgrounds. We're back and more epic than ever. 100,000 square feet of wall-to-wall man stuff, exotic cars, off-road Jeeps, and more. Craft beers, including VIP tickets online for the Bedlam Vodka Speakeasy experience. Sponsored in part by Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson. Go to ncmanexpo.com for tickets and info. The Man Expo, June 16th and 17th, powered by Taggart Cars.
School safety, prison safety, Gen X, incentives, teacher pay, taxes, spending. As state lawmakers tackle these and other issues, Carolina Journal is there, giving you the latest information. Available each month as a free newspaper. Every day online at carolinajournal.com. Carolina Journal, your #1 source for government news that affects you. Visit carolinajournal.com today.
Eruptions from Hawaii's Kilauea volcano continue to make life difficult for residents. Reporter Rick Salinger has more on that story.
As Hawaiians gathered in prayer, a giant cloud of volcanic smoke filled the sky on this corner of the island. Dawn Burke is one of those who have left their homes.
I got up with a splitting headache and nauseous. My dog was coughing, and it looked like a fog bank inside the house.
There is no telling if and when she and so many others will be able to return.
Dogs and cats need a lot of the same medicines humans need to get well. The opioid shortage is causing vets to seek alternative ways of treating sick pets. Dr. Steve Marks, the Associate Dean and Director of the Veterinary Medical Services at NC State University, tells CBS 17 that this is a growing concern.
Our hospitalized population here is a very sick population. For us, opiates are one of the safer pain management agents that we use.
In southeastern Colorado, a wildfire has prompted evacuation orders for residents in over 2,000 homes. The 416 fire began on June 1st near the city of Durango. Over the weekend, it nearly doubled in size to about 17,000 acres. While the exact cause has not been determined, officials say the recent rapid spread was expected due to weather conditions. Sean Bowden is a spokesperson for the 416's fire management team.
This 416 fire is very similar to the Missionary Ridge fire that happened a number of years ago. Same time of year, same weather conditions, similar terrain. That really gives fire managers a model to look back on.
And Outer Banks Town is trying to ensure that canopies protecting beachgoers from the sun aren't being used to hog up all the oceanfront real estate. The town of Nags Head has adopted an ordinance banning closely packed canopies from taking up space on crowded beaches. Mike Rayleigh.
24/7 WCAB is serving the foothills of the Carolinas. Learn more about us at www.wcab59.com.
From ABC News, Empire travels in Singapore. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says President Trump is here in Singapore on a, quote, mission of peace.
We'll see how far we get. But I'm very optimistic that we will have a successful outcome.
Pompeo said U.S. sanctions on North Korea will remain in place until that outcome is reached, and if diplomacy doesn't move in the right direction, those sanctions will increase. President Trump's first meeting with Kim Jong-un, coming up in just 14 hours, will be one-on-one. Later, they'll bring in their delegations for a second sit-down. I'm Karen Travers in Singapore. Now with more, here's Sherry Preston.
Officials from both the United States and North Korea have been meeting today, laying the groundwork for the summit. It comes on the heels of a testy G7 meeting between President Trump and other world leaders in Canada. ABC's Martha Raddatz says they're at odds over trade and tariffs.
President Trump's relations with America's closest friends plunging to a new low. From French President Emmanuel Macron, a warning. International cooperation cannot depend on fits of anger.
A hostage situation right now in Orlando. Police Chief John Mina says the suspect is barricaded in his apartment.
He has 4 hostages, all children, ages from 1, 7, 10, and 12.
Now, the suspect opened fire hitting a police officer. That officer is now in critical condition. Police in New Mexico are hunting for a suspect accused of attempted murder after he was accidentally released by officials at the jail in Albuquerque. Prison spokeswoman Candace Hopkins.
They're out in the community, they're following leads. We have received some leads to help us try to track this individual down, and we're going to keep at that. There's no time frame in which we'll stop our investigation or stop looking for him.
Police say Duane Perez Cordova fired a gun at several people a few months ago. And today's the day that net neutrality rules officially go away on the internet. Several online protests are planned. You're listening to ABC News.
Here's some great news. If you missed the deadline to sign up for a health care plan, or more importantly, if you signed up for a plan that you're just not happy with, you still have a choice. It's called Medi-Share. Medi-Share is a Christian healthcare sharing program. It's been around for 25 years. They have hundreds of thousands of members all across the country. And get this, over the years, Medi-Share members have shared more than $2.5 billion of each other's medical bills. Best of all, you could save a lot of money with Medi-Share. The typical savings for a family is about $500 a month. Your savings may be less or more, but think about what you could do with that extra money every month. So if you think you're stuck with a high-cost health plan that doesn't have much to offer, think again. You can join Medi-Share anytime, so call them today and check it out. Here's the number to find out more. There's no pressure. They're super easy to talk to. Just hit *324. That's *324. *324.
Wildfires are racing through parts of southwestern Colorado, forcing the evacuation of about 2,200 homes.
Colorado homeowners given just minutes to evacuate after a massive wildfire doubled in size.
We go this way?
Yep. Just head down that way,
okay? You started freaking out.
Nope, that's okay.
Thank you.
Crews outside of Durango taking to the air and on the ground, desperately trying to contain the so-called 416 fire.
That's ABC's Marcy Gonzalez. A humanitarian ship with hundreds of migrants on board is stranded at sea after Italy says it can't be put into port. ABC's Megan Williams has more from Rome.
Italy's interior minister has refused to allow a boat with 629 rescued people, including many children, land in Sicily. Matteo Salvini insisted Malta take the migrants rescued by the humanitarian ship, the Aquarius. He claimed Italian harbors are closed. Salvini is a far-right politician that long promised to shut Italy's borders to migrants and to deport up to 500,000 migrants from Italy. The rescues took place in an area much closer to Italy than Malta, and under international law should be taken to Italy. Megan Williams, ABC News, Rome.
And the boss is honored at the Tony Awards.
Thank you. This is deeply appreciated, and thanks for making me feel so welcome on your block.
Bruce Springsteen on CBS receiving a special Tony Award for his show Springsteen on Broadway. The big winner was the band's Visit. It took home 11 awards. This is ABC News.
With the stock market at all-time highs, cash in your profits now and invest in an asset that can potentially pay for up to 20 or more years. That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you're an SEC defined accredited investor, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's projects. Call now to learn how you can potentially achieve 20 or more years of income and deduct 100% of every dollar invested against all forms of income. Call 1-800-803-8511. That's 1-800-803-8511. Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary.
I'm Sherry.
Well, with springtime here, head on over to Oakland Feed and Seed for the things you need. Things like grass seed and garden seed. 10-10-10 fertilizer and 17-17-17 fertilizer. Oakland Feed and Seed carries Kentucky 31 and Rebel Turf and 5-Star Blend grass seed. That'll look good, won't it? They'll weigh up garden seed by the ounce or by the pound. How much do you need? They'll weigh up grass seed by the pound. Whatever your needs are, Scott and his team at Oakland Feed and Seed will try their best to do it for you. Need strong weed killer? Get it by the quart, gallon, and this kills all. 2.5 gallons is only $49.99. Get rid of them quick. That fish box, 100 count, $19.99. Why don't you come check Oakland Feed and Seed out and check prices? All your animal health needs, from dog shots to wormers. And don't forget to pick up some fire ant control, too. They have what you need at Oakland Feed and Seed, Oakland Road, Spindale, locally owned and locally run.
We'll start the week partly to mostly cloudy today with some scattered showers and thunderstorms, especially in the afternoon. A few of those could produce some locally heavy downpours or localized damaging wind gusts. We'll have highs around 84 to 90 degrees. Then tonight, mainly cloudy with a chance of thunder showers at times. We'll have lows in the mid-60s to around 70. Tuesday should be mostly cloudy and cooler. We'll have some hit-and-miss showers and maybe a storm or two. Highs 75 to 80. I'm Mike Moss in the Weather Center.
We're starting out this morning cloudy skies. We have 68 degrees currently, warming up to about 87. We may have a few pop-up showers this afternoon, about 40% chance of that. And again, tonight we may have a little scattered thunderstorm developing. Tomorrow, scattered showers possible. All this week, as a matter of fact, we have that slight percentage chance of rain each afternoon. But boy, didn't we have a great weekend. Wasn't that beautiful? My, if we get a few more like that, we'll all be happy, won't we? Right now, though, again, it's 68 degrees and cloudy, warming up to 87 for a daytime high. Welcome to the Monday morning edition of the News Hour. We hope you had a great weekend. Hope you had a lot of chance to do some yard work or do whatever you like to do on the weekends. Now I have these death announcements this morning. Eddie McBrayer, Clarence Edgar Eddie McBrayer, resident of Eastwood Village, died Sunday afternoon at Carolina's Medical Center Mercy in Charlotte. Funeral arrangements are incomplete and will be announced by the pageant at King Mortuary. Again, that's Eddie McBrayer. William Robertson, age 87 of Forest City, died early this morning at Hospice House of Rutherford County. Those arrangements are incomplete and will be announced later by McMahon's Funeral Home and Cremation Services. Again, that's William Robertson. Michael Terry, age 74 of Hudlow Road, passed away at Hospice of the Carolina Foothills in Forest City. A gathering of friends and family will be held from 6 p.m. until 7 p.m. Tuesday, June 12th at Crow's Mortuary in Rutherfordton. Crow's Mortuary is assisting the family of Michael Terry. William Joseph Taylor, Jr., 83 of Rutherfordton, passed away May 10th at Rutherfordton Regional Hospital. A memorial service is scheduled at the North Carolina Veterans Cemetery in Black Mountain for Friday, June 22nd at 3:20. Crow's Mortuary is assisting the family of William Joseph Taylor, Jr. Evelyn Norville, age 91 of Emory Avenue, Forest City, passed away Thursday, June 7th. At Hospice of the Carolina Foothills. The funeral service be conducted at 3 o'clock Tuesday, June 12th at Caroline Baptist Church with Reverend Alan Hall and Reverend Lanny Funches officiating. Burial will follow in Rutherford County Memorial Cemetery. The family will receive friends 1 hour prior to service time at the church. Harrelson Funeral and Cremation Services has been entrusted with the arrangements for Evelyn Norville. Those are the death announcements we have in-house this morning. You could get the complete information on these and others that may come in today. This morning at 11:35 and then again at 5:10 as part of the afternoon report here on The Most Information for the Foothills. AM 590 WCAB in Rutherfordton. Had a lot of baseball over the weekend. Braves did pretty good off and on. Sunday, the Dodgers beat them 7-2, but Saturday the Braves beat the Dodgers 5-3. And on Friday, the Dodgers beat the Braves 7-3. Now, they're off tonight, no Braves game tonight. And tomorrow night, we're scheduled to have the Owls baseball at Asheboro. That's 7 o'clock. Showtime for that action. We hope you'll join us as we carry those games throughout the season as well. Stand by. The Rush Limbaugh update is coming up next. Then we'll get to the phones, make our calls around the county.
Cato Mealy, the owner of a coffee shop in Lynn, Massachusetts, found out the damage social media can do to a thriving enterprise. On Facebook, Ms. Mealy's daughter Sophie said the shop would never host a coffee with a cop event. She said that cops are bullies. She's adamantly anti-police. After getting pushback online, she doubled down. She said that police uphold an unjust system and that police commit murder without consequence. Well, a firestorm erupted. Ms. Mealy fired her daughter and wrote an apology to the police. She called her daughter's remarks distasteful, biased, and hateful, and she said the work police officers do is heroic and that her daughter should never have linked her own personal views to the business. Well, none of that stopped the storm. Some of the comments posted by those offended by Sophie's anti-cops posts were just as adamant as Sophie's posting. Exhausted by all of this, Ms. Mealy announced the coffee shop would be closing. Her business shut down less than 2 weeks after a hateful post appeared on social media put there by her own daughter. Now, I have a suggestion for Sophie, who's now looking for work. You know, if you thought about calling the NFL Players Union, they don't like the cops either. This could be a perfect fit for you. If you were fumbling around in the dark and somebody handed you a flashlight, you take it, right? Shouldn't it be the same when it comes to spotting threats to your identity and the data on your devices? The digital world is so full of connections, it may only take one weak link for criminals to get in. Now, fortunately, new LifeLock identity theft protection now adds the power of Norton Security to shine light on the threats to your data today. Threats to your identity and threats to your computer or tablet like ransomware. No one can prevent all identity theft or cybercrime, but new LifeLock with Norton detects a wide range of threats that you may not see on your own. Join now, and for the first year, get an additional 10% off the low starting price of $7.99 a month plus applicable taxes. Just go to LifeLock.com and enter the promo code RUSH. That's LifeLock.com. Remember, enter my name, RUSH. That's when the magic happens.
Reaching 10 counties from the county seat of Rutherford. This is the Mighty 590 WCAB, Rutherfordton.
Hey, can I help you with anything?
Yeah, I'm here for the minivan sale.
Oh, that's actually just a bait and switch ad that we use to get you here to buy a more expensive vehicle.
What?
I can get you a low monthly payment with hidden fees, to exploit your ignorance. Or I could undervalue your trade-in. Let's go get that paperwork started. I've got a terrible deal for you.
Don't you wish false ads and scams were this easy to spot? Test your advertising IQ. Go to bbbadtruth.org.
It's time for you to test drive the affordable, fuel-efficient Ford Fusion from Sisk Family Ford in Forest City. Family-owned Sisk Ford can put you into the car you want with a payment plan you can appreciate. If it's a truck you want, get the Ford truck that's breaking records in sales. Ask about why the sales department is being bragged on with each and every sale that they make. They love your business at Sisk Family Ford, and it shows. New and used automobiles and an award-winning service department makes Sisk Family Ford the choice for so many. Step up to Ford today. Sisk Family Ford, Oak Street, Forest City.
Gregory's Original Restaurant in the Park Lane Plaza is the perfect dining choice of Rutherford County. Greg offers all your favorite dishes. Try their delicious subs, grinders, pasta, chicken, burgers, fresh garden salads, and the most delicious steaks served with mushroom gravy or peppers and onions. Be sure to call on Gregory's for all your catering needs at 287-2171. Check out the website for menus and event information, www.gregorysoriginal.com. Gregory's in the Park Lane Plaza in Rutherfordton.
Jesse Tyler was a lawman who operated in Utah at the turn of the century.
And as the sheriff of Grand County, he was particularly tenacious in going after cattle rustlers. He not only brought in rustlers, he also went after stolen cattle. A bit of a foretent of legal actions to come in later years, Jesse was sued by the wife of a cattle thief for taking stolen cattle from her corral. I'm sure the wife threw herself at the mercy of the court, stating that Sheriff Tyler had not only taken her husband from her, he had also taken the cattle that she was hoping to use to support her family while her husband was in jail. I don't know if it worked, but I suspect if it were tried today, she would get the cattle back, and Sheriff Tyler would have been disciplined. But that wasn't Jesse Tyler's biggest mistake. For 3 weeks, Sheriff Tyler and a posse had been searching for cattle rustlers in Utah's Book Mountains. Not having much luck, the posse decided to spread out so they could cover more ground. On May 16, 1900, Sheriff Tyler and Deputy Sam Jenkins came across what they thought was an Indian camp. Possibly because of the earlier lawsuit, Sheriff Tyler was more sensitive to others' feelings, so he and Deputy Jenkins left their rifles with the horses. As they approached the camp, they discovered it wasn't Indians, but a band of rustlers led by outlaw Harvey Logan. Under gun, they ran for their horses. Harvey Logan pulled his gun and shot both squarely in the back. Logan wasn't concerned about political correctness. You've just heard another story from Chronicle of the Old West. I'm Dakota Livesay.
Now 16 minutes after 7 o'clock Monday morning, the 11th day of June. Let's get started with our reports. And we go first to the Sheriff's Department, and Officer King is on the phone with me right now to give us an update from the weekend. Good morning. How are you doing today?
Good. How you doing today, Jim?
Doing great. Tell us what's been going on in your department.
In the past 48 hours, the Sheriff's Department responded to 267 calls for service. There were 21 arrests processed in the jail, and the jail currently has 180 people incarcerated. On our incident reports, Casey Maccabee from Cherry Mountain Street in Ellenboro reported a misdemeanor larceny. Robert Griffey, also from Cherry Mountain Street in Ellenboro, reported breaking and entering a motor vehicle and misdemeanor larceny and damage to personal property. Doyle Henderson from East High Road in Bostic reported a first-degree burglary, larceny after breaking and entering, and injury to real property. Had a metal safe with 2 handguns taken. A George Wingo from Edward Street Extension in Rutherford reported attempted break and entering. Larry Vickers from Vickers Road in Rutherford reported breaking and entering and larceny after breaking and entering. Had some hand tools taken. James Collins from Cherry Mountain Street in Ellenboro reported a break and enter in a motor vehicle and larceny from a vehicle. The Dutch Broad Restaurant in Cliffside reported injury to real property. Benjamin Lewiski from Main Street in Ellenboro reported break and enter in a motor vehicle and felony larceny. And then on our arrest reports, Betty Weeks from Aussie Drive in Bostic was served with failure to appear on a misdemeanor, received a $500 secured bond. Janae Green from Piney Mountain Church Road in Ellenboro was arrested and charged with felonious restraint, received a $10,000 secured bond. Joshua Gibson from Big Island Road was arrested and charged with first-degree burglary, larceny after breaking and entering, and injury to real property, received an $80,000 secured bond. Greg Payne, listed as homeless, was arrested and charged with second-degree trespass. William Squires from Chestnut Street in Tryon was served with a criminal summons for harassing phone call. Jordan Carroll from Darlington Road in Rutherford was served with a criminal summons for simple assault. And Allison Kraft, who's listed as homeless, was arrested and charged with second-degree trespass, break and enter in a motor vehicle, and larceny from a vehicle, received a $5,100 secured bond. And that's all we have for today.
Officer King, I do appreciate the report, and you be safe out there today.
Thank you, Jim. You have a good one.
See you. Bye-bye. 19 minutes after 7 o'clock here on this Monday morning, long Sheriff's Report. A lot of activity over the weekend. We'll find out about 911 calls in just a moment.
Here's what our customers think about McCurry Deck Chevrolet Buick GMC.
I love my McCurry Deck Buick.
I love my McCurry Deck Chevrolet.
We love our McCurry Deck GMC. We guarantee you'll love McCurry Deck Chevrolet Buick GMC for city.
I am definitely a McCurry Deck customer for life.
I love the price and the McCurry Deck Customer for Life Rewards program. It gives you up to $3,000 or more in rewards.
Take the easy drive to savings. McCurry Deck for city. Discover the rewards of being a customer for life.
Here's Jessica now with our report from the Communications Center. Jessica, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. What's on your report?
In the past 48 hours, the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office 911 Communications has processed 739 911 calls and administrative calls, which consisted of 98 EMS calls, 28 for rescue. Sheriff's Office 267, Forest City 138, Lake Lure 23, Rutherford 43, Spindale 98. Fire calls: Cliffside responded to a structure fire assisted by Sandy Mush, Ellenborough, and SDO. Ellenborough responded to a vehicle accident. Forest City responded to 2 vehicle accidents. Fairfield responded to a vehicle accident. Green Hill responded to a vehicle accident. Hudlow to a vehicle accident. Lake Lure to a vehicle accident. Rutherford to a vehicle accident and a residential fire alarm. And SDO to a vehicle accident. And that's all we've got today.
Thanks, Jessica. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye. Well, one thing you like to do through life, through springtime and summer, is be outdoors some, listen to the birds sing and whistle. Well, if you have a difficulty hearing, that is sort of sets that back a little bit. But you can do something about that hearing with a trip to Miracle Ear. When you want some sound facts about better hearing, call on Lisa Terry at Miracle Ear in Forest City. Millions of satisfied Miracle Ear customers worldwide have depended on Miracle Ear and been really satisfied with the results. There are so many features you'll appreciate about the Miracle Ear, particularly the Genius 2.0. Ask Lisa Terry about it when you get ready for a positive change in your hearing. Ask about that free hearing test, no obligation, at the Forest City office, 1512 West Main Street, Suite 102. That phone number is 828-368-4126. Miracle Ear. Ruby Taylor is up next from the Danieltown SDO Fire District. Good morning, Ruby.
Good morning.
What's on your report?
Well, the fire department assisted Cliffside on the structure fire, and they were assisted also by Ellenborough and Sandy Mush. And on my birthday, then they had a vehicle accident. And on my birthday calendar, I've got Rodney Queen, Sandra Mays, Penny Sue Willis, C.T. Putman having birthdays. And Mr. and Ms. Tony Harris, Mr. and Ms. Don Johnson is having anniversary. Hope all these people have a nice day. Signs are in the neck today and going to the arms tomorrow. Jim, that's all I got.
I appreciate it, Ruby. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
It can be a tough call when it comes time to provide daycare services for an aging parent or loved one. Rutherford Life Care can be just what you're looking for. Rutherford Life Care offers adults a safe and fun place during the day for medical monitoring, nutritional meals, and daily activities. Rutherford Life is licensed by the State of North Carolina Division of Aging. Call them today and let them answer questions you may have. That's 288-1697, 288-1697. Rutherford Life offers a staff of professionals who show the love and compassion that you entrust your loved ones to. That's Rutherford Life Care Services, located on Thunder Road, Spindale. Again, that phone number is 288-1697. Did you know that Rutherford County's largest pediatrics practice has 5 providers to serve the children and youth of this area? And even better, Rutherford Children's Care is welcoming new patients. With 3 physicians and 2 mid-level providers, the group is available to examine, diagnose, and treat patients from birth to age 18. Rutherford Children's Care is conveniently located at 162 Commercial Drive in Forest City, just behind Big Dave's Restaurant. To schedule an appointment, call Rutherford Children's Care at 828-287-9325. Well, let's check in up in Rumbling Ball and check in with Steve, see if you got a lot of rest over the weekend, ready for another full week. Steve, how you doing?
If working on Sundays rest, I guess I did. I wasn't working as much in the garden yesterday because I was here for a while, but yeah, so maybe I did get some rest.
Yeah, well, sometimes working is okay too. I guess it's
it is,
as long as it wasn't an emergency.
No, you got to take the bad with the good sometimes.
Yeah.
I got a good group, and things happen. One of our residents a longtime resident's got a traffic crash yesterday, Mr. Ray Jackson and his wife. But I think they're going to be okay. But they got some pretty significant bumps and bruises. Travel all the way from the coast, and when they get here, I guess maybe they put their mind too much at ease before they finally pulled in the driveway, because it's inside the properties where they wrecked. But anyway, she was taken to the hospital, and I think they're going to be okay. They know what the problems are. So
well, I hope they're going to be all right.
And stuff, yeah. It wasn't really a minor incident, but they're going to be okay.
Good.
I talked to him this morning. I'm helping him out with some after things, where they towed it and all that. But anyway, other than that, it was fairly quiet this weekend. I can attest to that. I was here. So we didn't have any weddings this weekend. We had a lot of golfing, and so there wasn't as much activity as there could be. June weddings aren't as popular as they used to be. They're doing weddings a lot of other months.
Yeah.
We find, I guess because of the heat, people are saying, I think I want to have April and May wedding and October and November. We get a lot of those now. So that's just interesting. I guess that the tradition of June weddings is not so popular as it used to be.
Well, up there in the fall of the year with all those leaves changing, it's a beautiful time to get married.
It is. And the weather's going to be a better chance of not being bad because it's a hot day every day in June, so you got that.
That's right.
To start off with. It's either that or a rainstorm. But it's it's on the water, so it's not terribly bad. But anyway, that's what we have here.
Good.
But otherwise, it was pretty quiet this weekend overall.
Oh, good. I'm glad glad the flooding is about over anyway.
Yes, indeed. We'll see. Maybe we get a little brief shower today. We'll probably use a little bit of rain, but not much.
Listen, you have a great Monday up there, and keep things straight for us, and we'll check back in with you tomorrow.
Okay, we shall.
Thanks,
Take
Steve.
care.
Bye-bye. That's Runway Ball reporter Steve there at Security Gate. Hey, listen, if you're looking to do a lot of cooking outdoors, grilling, the families love to do that. Some steaks to burgers to hot dogs or chicken even. A lot of folks are doing most anything on their grills. If you don't have a good one, let me suggest you check in with Henson Building Material. They've got the Traeger grills. They have the Elite 22 series in stock, and they have a bundle on sale right now for Father's Day, just in time for Father's Day, with all that you need to get started. You may have seen these grills on infomercials on television. This is a pellet grill that you can grill, you can broil, you can smoke, and you can bake on it. Very versatile, beautiful, and they have a demo over there that you can look at, and they've done some cooking on it over there at Henson. They did what a great job. It's very hassle-free, easy to cook on. Check with them and look it up. You want to check on Traeger, TraegerGrills.com. You can find some more information about this Traeger grill, but better yet, go talk with the team over there at Henson and let them show you what that's all about. You'll be tickled to death to get one. You do all kinds of cooking out there. Meanwhile, check on the Georgia boots that are on specially priced at 15% discount, just in time for Father's Day, all the month of June. Georgia boots at 15% discount. All that's at Henson Building Material. No place else but Henson Building Material. Duke Street, Forest City. And here's Bob Hodge now over in the Hudlow Volunteer Fire District community. Bob, good morning.
Well, good Monday morning.
How you doing today, Bob?
Well, doing fairly well. Hope you're doing good this morning.
I am indeed, yeah.
Well, you're looking good over there. I believe you're going to make it there.
Well, I hope so. I work hard at it.
I know it. Oh. Well, Jim, up here with our fire department over the weekend, we answered a few medical calls. Didn't have any fire or accident calls, so that's good. Want to say happy birthday to Candace Hoare this morning. And, Jim, things are running along good up here this morning. Look like we're going to have another nice day, maybe a thunder shower later on this season or something, but that's all together. We're going to have a nice day up here, but We had a little thunder shower move through yesterday evening. Just come a sprinkle of rain and moved right on right quick. So we just had a little shower of rain out of it.
I saw the dark clouds over that direction, and I was out visiting some folks, and it got rained on just a little bit, but nothing major. But nothing in my house at all. Just I could see the dark clouds over your way.
Well, yeah, they just come a little sprinkle of rain and moved right on there. So, but not just to dampen the grass a little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jim, that's about it up here. They ain't raining on good, and I hope you have a good day, and I'll be talking to you in the morning.
Bob, I appreciate that, and keep improving, and we'll see you next time.
All right.
Bye. It's Bob Hodge up in the Hudlow Fire District reporting in this morning. It's 7:30. And over across the road here at Farmer's Friend Feed Seed and Supply, some folks call it Friendly Farmer, but that's okay. He likes that too. They have all your farm supplies. They have all types of new and used farm equipment. They carry now the tillers. They've got the fertilizer. They've got the Toro Groundmaster 325D 4x4 diesel with the debris blower and mowing deck. They've got your vegetables, plant seeds, shrubs, and more. They've got the Toro Groundmaster. They've got the 1999 Toro Workman 4200 4x4. They got Kills-All 2.5 gallon, $47.99. Extra large bundles of shavings for $4.50, and on I could go. But they're loaded, and they've got what you're looking for your yard work, your garden work, or doing some things around the house. They've got it for you at Farmer's Friend Feed Seed and Supply. Now, June 26, 11 a.m., you can stock your pond Fish Day Sales event at Farmer's Friend Feed Seed and Supplies. Call to pre-order your fish at 828-287-3272. When your name is on the company, you know you want it done right. That's what Hutchins Pest Control does. They do it right. Honest, dependable, and on-time service. They appreciate the confidence you have placed in them. They promise to continue being the best they can be in the pest control business. Honest, dependable, and on time. Call on them to get your home or office protected. Call 287-5171. Get a free estimate when you call Hutchins Pest Control. That number again is 287-5171. Sue Price is up next from the Cherry Mountain Fire District with our report today. Good morning, Sue.
Good morning, Tim.
How was your weekend?
Well, we had a good weekend. It was a really pretty weekend.
It sure was.
Got a pretty morning out there, too. We may get some showers later, but it's pretty right now. I had 68 degrees to start with. So it's real nice. And let's see, I didn't have any calls from the fire department. I have no birthdays on my church calendar. On my personal calendar, I got a birthday for Joel Ekstrom. And, of course, Joel is on Fairview's list, and also Jackson Owens. So I hope they'll both have a good day. And nothing on First Prods for today. So not too many celebrating, but we hope anybody that's having a birthday or anniversary will have a good day. In my announcements, today is the blood drive up at Golden Valley Community Club. That's 3:30 to 6:30. And if you didn't make an appointment, just come on out if you can give blood. It's always needed. And they'll work you in 3:30 to 6:30. Concord Baptist Church, special evening out, Thursday, June 14th at the Church Fellowship Hall. Big barbecue dinner and a wonderful evening of entertainment featuring Bill and Maggie Anderson from Galax, Virginia. And no reservations required. Barbecue dinner is only $10, and it begins at 5:30, and then entertainment will be at 7 p.m. And it says seating is limited. You can call the church at 828-245-6130 for more information. And so far, I believe that's the only announcements I have. It's just quiet and calm over this way, looking for a good day, and I hope you'll have one, Jim.
Thanks very much, Sue. Enjoy your day as well. I'll see you next time.
Okay,
right,
bye-bye.
Well, over at Washburn Store, it's not too far from Sue up the road there on Bostic Sunshine Highway. They got ladies and men's straw hats if you're going to be working outside in the yard at all in the flower garden or in your vegetable garden or just riding around in your convertible. They've got hats to fit you, ladies and men's straw hats, plus a few tomato pepper plants left. Plus you can find all the work gloves, those little tools that you dig around the flowers. They got some of those tools over there as well. Porter brand overalls. If they don't have your size, it'll be surprising. But if they don't have your size, they can order it for you and get it here in no time. Check with Washburn Store between Bostic and Sunshine on the Bostic Sunshine Highway. You better believe it. It's a great place to shop. And if you're going to be driving around, going on vacation, going to see grandma wherever she is, or going to see the kids wherever they are, you can be driving and that automobile is hot because the air conditioner's not working. Take it over to Ellenberg's Garage. They do those kind of things, and they'll have your back cool down again. Also, they'll have your car running smoothly if it's shaking and shimmering. Jimmy's got one of those state-of-the-art four-wheel alignment machines that's just outstanding, and they can fix that up in no time. You'll be back on your road again, smooth sailing, with cool air if you get your air conditioner fixed. Don't suffer through wondering if the tires are not going to hold that either. They got tires. They sell you tires. They can fix the transmission. Do the transmission flush. All that's one stop at your locally owned and locally run Ellenberg's Garage. Why don't you check with Ellenberg's? Do business with home folks, and rest assured it's going to be done right. 110 Loing Mill Road across from the old Gilkey School. That phone number is 287-7996. 287-7996.
Get ready for those hot summer months driving with a stop at RS Speedy Lube, Railroad Avenue. The Express Inspection Station gets you back on the road and keeps you legal. Speedy Lube has 2 lanes to serve you, gets you in and out in no time, and vacuum your car while the oil is being changed, air conditioner checked, transmission flushed, wiper blades replaced if needed, even a top-of-the-line car wash, all at RS Speedy Lube and Inspection Station, Railroad Avenue in Ruth. Take care of that car and have a safe trip.
Well, let's check in now up at Union Mills, and Brenda Kelly standing by up there, nice and comfortable, to give us a report. Live and in living color from Union Mills, ladies and gentlemen, here's Brenda Kelly. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you on this magnificent Monday morning?
I'm magnificent.
I love that song you played right there at the end. Was it Feeling Mighty Fine?
Feeling Mighty Fine, yeah.
Yeah, I love that upbeat tempo.
That'll get you feeling good, won't it?
Yeah, make you tap your feet and clap your hands.
That's right. Well, that's our intent, to make your day get started more positively.
There you go. I'm sorry to hear about Eddie McBrear's passing.
Yeah, it is.
Known Eddie a long time.
He's been well known a lot of his family. The entire family has been well known, and McBrear Furniture Company, and they're good folks. And I was sorry to hear that myself.
All those boys are dead now.
Yep.
Every one of them. I hated to hear that too, but it's going to happen to all of us.
The presence will be missed in Forest City.
Yeah, I'm sure. But anyway, we hope everybody's having a good day. I've got 64 degrees on the front porch. Birthdays today, I've got Curtis Smith, Elaine Carter, and Patty Nanny. On Round Hill, I don't have any birthdays, but there'll be a community club meeting this afternoon at 6 o'clock. In ways of announcements, you can rent the Union Mills Clubhouse. Need a family-friendly setting for birthday, graduation, reunion, or wedding reception. This is the place, $75 a day, $25 to set up the day before. You can call Kay Briscoe at 223-6130 or Christine Almans at 287-3502. And other than that, I don't have anything. It's just short, sweet, quiet, and getting the week off to a good start.
Well, good. Nice and quiet for a start, I think. I like that.
Yeah. It's quiet up here. As far as I know, it's quiet up here.
Yeah. Nice.
Ain't heard nothing, so that's good.
Cool under those big shade trees, right?
Do what?
It's cool under those big trees.
Oh, yeah, it's cool, yeah. Well, it's not too bad right now, 64. That's not bad. We did get a little shower of rain yesterday afternoon, but it wasn't enough to even measure in the rain gauge. But we did get a little shower.
Yeah.
So. We may get some more this afternoon, right?
We may get some more this afternoon. That's right. Each afternoon this week we may get some, but it's all right. We're about to get used to it, I believe.
Yeah, and I was listening to the weather report on the news yesterday from 13, and they said, so far in June, we're down with rain. I thought, my goodness, woman, we've had enough rain to last us the rest of the year. We got it all in May.
Well, we're only into the 11th day of June, so it's not like we've dry or anything like that. We still got a lot of...
I think we've got abundance left over, haven't we?
We should, yeah. We should have indeed. All right, Brenda, well, you enjoy your Monday.
Okay, you have a good one. We'll catch you later.
Thanks. I'll see you next time.
Okay.
The Recliner Center is happy to introduce new styles of Spring Air mattresses. Some come with the cool gel that you're going to love. Remember the days when you could flip your mattress? Well, Spring Air is now offering the flippable mattress. Check out these for a really great night's sleep. The Recliner Center is needing to make room for some new styles of lift chairs, recliners, and sofas, and you're going to get some special deals on the floor models and extra inventory in the store. Now, you always know you get the best deals in town at the Recliner Center, and now's the best time to go shopping. Check on the inventory of new recliners, sofas, and lift chairs coming in. Now, some of the styles have a new water-repellent fabric. Water beads up instead of soaking into the fabric. Leave it to the Recliner Center to offer you the best choices and best prices. Ask to see the new wall hugger style furniture. Hours are Wednesday through Friday 9 to 5 and Saturday 9 to 2. The Recliner Center on Cooper's Gap Road in Rutherfordton.
Here's a phone number for you whenever you're ready. I know some of you have to think about these kind of things for a while, but don't wait too long. But call 245-0310. That's the phone number to Southern Carpet. And go by there and just look around the warehouse, look around the samples they've got in the showroom there, and you'll find something that's very fitting to you and your home. Well, if you have a small house or a large house, doesn't matter, 1 room or 20 rooms, the Tony family can look after you like you were part of their family. That's one good thing about doing business with local folks. They understand local folks. And they're above board in all transactions. They give you an honest and fair deal. Why don't you do business with home folks like Southern Carpet? Long-lasting tradition of quality. Nothing compares to the personalized in-store service you get. And they're the home of Bruce Hardwood, Appalachian Hardwood, ceramic tile, Turkey flooring, Armstrong vinyl, and beautiful carpet of all kinds. Again, that phone number is 245-0310 if you want to phone them. But better yet, go see them at 1512 West Main Street, right across from North State Gas Company. Luther Gilligan is my next guest. He's on the phone with me now from Ellenboro to give us the news report from over there. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. He's sitting there waiting to hear from you.
Well, here it is.
Yeah, that's good. It's good to know that you're still well and alive.
I am indeed.
Going strong. Hey, we're having a good time down here this morning. It's beginning to settle back down. Things got exciting here at the Police Department about 2 o'clock this morning. They went down to Sister Cliffside on the structure bar down there. Rob said he got back about 6 o'clock, went home, took a shower, cleaned, changed clothes, and come back to work. They had 7 medical calls over the weekend, and then yesterday afternoon they had an accident here on Old Ponds Road. But maybe things settle down now and get trucks cleaned up, get them put up, back to service. Everything will be all right. Let's see, we didn't have any birthdays today, so everything's quiet on that part. So everything else is going good. It's Monday. We get to go back to work and enjoy the weekend, but it's over. We get back in the groove again. And that's what's going on, Jim. You have a great day up there. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks very much, Luther. I'll see you next time.
All right, take care now.
Bye.
Thanks.
It's time now for birthdays and anniversaries for this 11th day of June. June the 11th, if you were born or were married on this day, let's celebrate. Celebrate. Call that in to us at 287-3356, and we'll give away some donuts here in a few moments, those Daylight Donuts from Granny B's. Again, that phone number is 287-3356.
Health insurance is complicated, and with healthcare reform on the way, it's not getting any simpler. If you've got questions, we've got agents. Your local Farm Bureau insurance agent can walk you through the changes and offer you the right healthcare plan with the right benefits for you. Healthcare may be changing, but our superior service isn't. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
In Rutherford County, please call 287-2428.
North Carolina Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company, Farm Bureau Insurance of North Carolina, Inc., Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, an independent licensee of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association.
You want to trust your eyes to somebody that you can depend on and trustworthy. That's why Tri-City Optometric Eye Care is such a popular place. When folks need their eyes checked or need glasses, trust Tri-City Optometric Eye Care. They offer full-service eye exams, contact lenses, emergency eye treatment, quality, affordable eyewear, and hundreds of fashionable frames. And the friendly office staff will be glad to file all your Medicare, Medicaid, Blue Cross, United Healthcare, March Vision, iMed, just to name a few. Dr. Tevis is now accepting new patients at Tri-City Optometric Eye Care. Just call at 288-8662. That's 288-8662 for an appointment. Tri-City Optometric Eye Care is located at 337 North Main Street in Rutherfordton. And Dr. Davis also has an office in Tryon at 486 South Trade Street. If your vision is important to you, who you trust your vision to should be important.
I told my friend about Olmsted Plumbing, and boy, was she happy.
What did she have to say?
I told her to call 245-7302, and they would get right out there.
And did she say she would
I told her to ask around. Homeowners, builders, and everybody likes Olmsted. Eric and Chad Olmsted and their team understand the homeowner's needs, and I like that.
They have an inventory of replacement parts and specialized equipment and tools for any job.
I told her that, too.
Well, what was that number again?
245-7302. That's 245.
Yeah, I got it. 245-7302. Olmsted Plumbing. Hey, it's breakfast time. Time for a good hot biscuit. How about stopping by the Drop-In? Because this month you get a country ham and egg biscuit for $1.99, or a country ham, egg, and cheese wrap, normally $2.99. This month only $1.99. Yep. Keep that in mind for breakfast this morning. When you're on the way to work, grab one or two and maybe take it to the work with you. Also, soft-serve ice cream is at the Broadway store there for a Drop-In. If you're looking for ethanol-free gas, they have it at Sandy Mush location of Drop-In. All over the county, you'll find the convenient service at Drop-In. Come on, Drop-In. The entire team at Crow's Funeral Home and Cremation Services can help you with options available. They will help you find a balance between the emotional, spiritual, and financial needs of your loved one. During this time, it's important to turn to someone you can trust and depend on. Crow's Mortuary and Crow's Mortuary and Crematory has a long history of trust and dependability. Crow's Mortuary and Crematory. That's 286-2304. That's really something to crow about. It's the Daylight Donuts from Granny B's in Spindale. Get yours today while they're fresh. They're good. They're delicious. It's Daylight Donuts. It's something to crow about. Happy birthday. Well, let's see. Lucy Kaiser, 76, old Boston, retired. Happy birthday yesterday. Valley Skipper celebrating Matt McCraw of Bostic's having a birthday. Darius and April Watkins, it's their 6th anniversary. They live on Doggett's Grove. Tina Logan of Spindale had a birthday yesterday. Also celebrating on the 11th is Curtis Smith, Elaine Connor, and Patty Nanny celebrating. So happy birthday, happy anniversary. Joy, thrill. Let's see who else will win. The Daylight Donuts now from Granny B's. We'll have that drawing in just a moment.
My wife and I observed a once-in-a-lifetime scene not long ago while sitting in a fast food restaurant during our Monday evening date. Margaret was looking out the window over my shoulder, and I observed she was captivated by what she saw. She then said things like, "Oh no, they aren't going to make it. Please stop. Don't hit them, and I don't think they see them." The restaurant is along one of the busiest stretches of highway in the county, and it was rush hour, so I simply assumed that someone was trying to ease out into the 4 lanes of traffic. I had observed the scene hundreds of times, and furthermore, I'm not into watching cars get smashed. Then Margaret said, "Oh, Bill, look at that." I turned and saw a mother duck with 6 ducklings safely navigating the last few feet across the busy highway. It was amazing and refreshing to see the car stop in both directions and watch the family of ducks waddle their way from one side of the busy highway to the other. I was reminded that the Bible says that God watches over even the smallest animals. I don't think it was a very smart move on the part of the mother duck to try such an adventure, but they did make it across. You know, I'm glad God doesn't forget me when I make some blunders. When some of my decisions are not the best, I'm glad He stays close by and helps me. He's promised He would never leave me or forsake me. This is Bill Hostler with today's key to confident living. Scripts for these programs are sold in book form by calling toll-free 1-888-333-KEYS.
And a big congratulations going out to Darius and April Watkins in Doggett's Grove. It's their 6th anniversary, so congratulations to them. And they've won the Daylight Donuts, and we'll have a certificate over here. Stop by and pick that up. And I know you will enjoy the donuts.
Take out the papers and the trash, or you don't get no spending cash. If you don't scrub that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
Just finish cleaning up your room. Let's see that dust fly with that broom. Get all that garbage out of sight, or you don't go out Friday night. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
You just put on your coat and hat and walk yourself to the laundry mat. And when you finish doing that, bring in the dog and put out the cat. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
Don't you give me no dirty look. Your father's hip, you know what cooks. Just tell your hoodlum friends outside, you ain't got time to take a ride. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
Yakety yak, yakety yak. Yakety yak, yakety yak. Yakety yak, yakety yak. You can dance, every dance with the guy that gives you the eye, let him hold you tight. You can smile, every smile for the man who held your hand beneath the pale moonlight. But don't forget who's taking you home and in whose arms you're gonna be. So darling, say the last dance for me. Ooh. Oh, I know that the music's fine like sparkling wine. Go and have your fun. Laugh and sing, but while we're apart, don't give your heart to anyone. 'Cause don't forget who's taking you home and in whose arms you're gonna be. So darling, say the last dance for me. Ooh. Baby, don't you know I love you so? Can't you feel it when we touch? I would never, never let you go. I love you oh so much. You can dance, go carry on till the night is gone and it's time to go. If he asks, if you're all alone, can he take you home? You must tell him no. 'Cause don't forget who's taking you home and in whose arms you're gonna be. So darling, save the last dance for me.
NCN News. I'm Mike Rayleigh. Both U.S. and North Korean delegations are in Singapore ahead of the summit between President Trump and Kim Jong-un. The two will meet on Tuesday at 9 in the morning local time. Reporter Don Kirk is in Singapore with more.
There's an air of excitement over this impending summit. There certainly are high expectations. There's not an air of tension. It's not as if anybody thinks anything's going to go really wrong. However, Singaporean authorities are not taking any chances. They've got lots of police around guarding key intersections.
CBS News consultant Robert Carlin, who spent years analyzing the North for the CIA and the State Department, calls it a watershed moment.
Kim Jong-un is leaning very far forward.
When the State House gets back to business in the coming week, they will consider whether to override Governor Roy Cooper's veto of the roughly $24 billion state budget. State Representative Greer Martin, a Wake County Democrat, says those in higher tax brackets should not have received tax breaks.
We shifted the burden of paying for our society away from the wealthiest North Carolinians and more on the backs of working North Carolinians.
Alamance County EMS says a search and recovery is ongoing at the Saxaba Hall Lake in Alamance County. A witness reported seeing a kayaker go underwater at Saxaba Hall Lake Paddle Access Point in Graham shortly after 6 p.m. on Sunday. 4 people were believed to have been in or around a kayak before it tipped over. None of the 4 were wearing life jackets. Legislation that would limit people's ability to sue hog farmers over the smell and noise from large hog operations is making its way through the General Assembly as part of larger farm legislation. State Agriculture Commissioner Steve Troxler tells SFNtoday.com the industry is being managed well.
We are heavily regulated already, heavily inspected already, so we're doing the job like the job needs to be done.
You're listening to NCN News.
Taggart Cars presents the Man Expo, June 16th and 17th, Father's Day weekend at the NC State Fairgrounds. We're back and more epic than ever. 100,000 square feet of wall-to-wall man stuff, exotic cars, off-road Jeeps and more, craft beers, including VIP tickets online for the Bedlam Vodka Speakeasy Experience. Sponsored in part by Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson. Go to ncmanexpo.com for tickets and info. The Man Expo, June 16th and 17th, powered by Taggart Cars.
Have you ever noticed how little things can make a big difference? Letting someone with an item or two check out in front of you, especially when you have a cart full. By the way, it doesn't take any time to smile at a grumpy checkout clerk. Maybe they've been working a long shift. It takes so little time, but it works wonders. In North Carolina, we have always taken pride in being kind to everybody. Little things do make a difference. Makes you feel better. Makes everyone around you feel better.
As President Trump is on the verge of meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, U.S. allies are lashing out at him for his trade threats and attacks on Canada's prime minister after their weekend Group of 7 summits.
Allies are miffed at him. He threatened to stop trading. He called the Prime Minister of Canada dishonest and weak and caught the Group of 7 by surprise by first agreeing to a group statement on trade only to withdraw from it while flying to Asia. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said she found the contentious meeting with the president to be a sobering and depressing experience, and a former foreign policy advisor to Trudeau jabbed Trump on Twitter. Roland Paris called Trump a big tough guy once he's back on his airplane and said he's a pathetic man-child. Shirley Smith, Washington.
One driver has been charged following a deadly collision on NC 33 in Pitt County. Troopers say 58-year-old Kenneth Braswell of Greenville had just left the Hardee's recycling area and pulled his pickup truck off the side of the road facing east. The Tony Awards were held last night in New York.
That was not a problem with your TV's audio dropping out during Robert De Niro's introduction of Bruce Springsteen. Those pauses were caused by CBS censors who kept you from hearing 2 profanities that were uttered by De Niro in a verbal attack on President Donald Trump. Speaking of Springsteen, De Niro said the musician not only rocks the house but also rocked the vote, calling for truth, transparency, and integrity in government, adding, "Boy, do we need that now." The audience at Radio City Music Hall apparently agreed. It gave De Niro a long-standing ovation. I'm Oscar Wells Gabriel.
A proposal rule in North Carolina's legislature would let law officers access a statewide database recording who is prescribing controlled drugs from morphine to codeine. The News and Observer of Raleigh reports the move is part of the General Assembly's efforts to grapple with opioid.
24/7 WCAB is serving the foothills of the Carolinas. Learn more about us at www.wcab59.com.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Getting ready for the summit in Singapore. President Trump and North Korea's leader will go face-to-face in a few hours. ABC's Karen Travers is there.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says this summit between President Trump and Kim Jong-un is, quote, fundamentally different than past efforts by the U.S. to reach a denuclearization agreement with North Korea.
We are going to ensure that we set up a system sufficiently robust that we're able to verify these outcomes, and it's only once the V happens that we'll proceed apace.
That V means verifiable. The White House says it wants to see a complete, verifiable, irreversible denuclearization.
The first meeting will be the two leaders alone. ABC News contributor and former National Security Advisor Tom Bossert says the president plans to work quickly.
He has to do it quickly. He has to do it in a brash fashion, and he's looking for a strategic decision. So in a lot of ways, it's kind of understandable that he thinks he'll figure this out in the first few minutes.
The summit comes days after that G7 meeting that left some frayed feelings among American allies over trade and tariffs. German Chancellor Angela Merkel called it depressing. President Trump called Canada's Prime Minister weak. More from ABC's Jonathan Carl.
I haven't heard a president talk about a leader the way that this White House has talked about Justin Trudeau since we heard George Bush talking about Saddam Hussein. I mean, you had one of the president's top advisors actually suggest there's a special place in hell for the Canadian Prime Minister.
4 children are being held hostage right now in Orlando, Florida. John Mina is the police chief there.
Our main concern right now is the safety of the children that are in that apartment.
The kids range in age from 12 to just 1 year old. An officer responding to calls of domestic violence was hit by gunfire. He's in critical condition. The FCC rollback of net neutrality rules, which said all Internet traffic should be treated equally, takes effect today. It isn't clear how quickly Internet users may see any changes. Several protests are planned. You're listening to ABC News.
Tax representation, get the IRS off your back.
If you're in trouble with the IRS and owe at least $10,000 in back taxes, you need tax representation. The current administration has a special program called the Fresh Start Initiative, which can offer significantly reduced settlements, saving you thousands of dollars. These unique programs have been allocated to help the economy and substantially reduce or eliminate your tax burden. If you're approved and qualify, tax representation will call the IRS the same day and stop the wage garnishments, levies, and tax liens within 24 hours. If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS, you may qualify for substantial relief and even forgiveness. Tax representation with an A rating by the Better Business Bureau. Call the Tax Representation Hotline at 800-295-1046. That's 800-295-1046. 800-295-1046. Call now. 800-295-1046.
Staffers at several federal prisons around the country are scrambling to suddenly make space for a whole lot more people.
It was a cornerstone of Donald Trump's presidential campaign, and in 2018, his Attorney General Jeff Sessions says,
"We are restoring the rule of law and enforcing our immigration laws again."
And sending 1,600 undocumented immigrants and asylum seekers caught at the border to federal prisons to await their hearings. Robert Heyman of the Border Network for Human Rights says,
"It really runs against this country's values. It runs against federal law."
And he says puts nonviolent immigration detainees into facilities with violent criminal convicts. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
A Tennessee grandma is facing charges for how she was driving her grandkids around. ABC's Dave Packer.
There was no room inside her vehicle, Memphis police say, Lemomi Cheeks told them. So the 62-year-old woman had 2 children, ages 7 and 8, ride inside dog kennels in the back of her SUV. Viral video showing her letting the children out of the pet carriers.
The kids later told police that there was no air conditioning back there in the SUV, and it was nearly 100 degrees. She is facing charges. New study says kids are eating way too much sugar. Surprise, surprise. Researchers now say on average a lot of toddlers eating more sugar than the recommended level for adults. Between the ages of 19 and 23 months, kids are getting 7 teaspoons of added sugars a day. That's about equal to a Snickers bar. This is ABC News.
With the stock market at all-time highs, cash in your profits now and invest in an asset that can potentially pay for up to 20 or more years. That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you're an SEC-defined accredited investor, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's projects. Call now to learn how you can potentially achieve 20 or more years of income and deduct 100% of every dollar invested against all forms of income. Call 1-800-803-8511. That's 1-800-803-8511. Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary.
Today is the perfect time to stop into Jesse James Railroad Express, offering delicious burgers, clubs, hot dogs, fresh salads, taco salads, chicken and tuna salad plates, Reuben burger, breakfast sandwiches, delicious hand-dipped ice cream, and now peanut butter and jelly milkshakes. You have to try one. They're open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. Phone them at 447-4644. Jesse James Railroad Express on Railroad Avenue in Rutherford. All aboard the Jesse James Express. Mention this ad and get a regular hot dog with mustard, chili, and onions for only 99 cents. Mondays only.
We'll start the week partly to mostly cloudy today with some scattered showers and thunderstorms, especially in the afternoon. A few of those could produce some locally heavy downpours or localized damaging wind gusts. We'll have highs around 84 to 90 degrees. Then tonight, mainly cloudy with a chance of thunder showers at times. We'll have lows in the mid-60s to around 70. Tuesday should be mostly cloudy and cooler. We'll have some hit-and-miss showers and maybe a storm or two. Highs 75 to 80. I'm Mike Moss in the Weather Center.
Sunny skies prevail here in the foothills. We're going to have sunny skies throughout most of the day. There'll be some clouds hovering later on in the day and producing some rain probably in the afternoon, about 40% chance of that. And again, tonight there is a possibility of some scattered thunderstorms affecting you. That's the forecast pretty much all week long. Scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon, scattered showers in the afternoon, and some overnight. I don't see any day yet that it doesn't list some scattered shower possibilities. So it'll be some of those pop-up kind of things that we deal with from time to time in the afternoon. But right now it's sunny and 69 degrees. We're going to be checking in with Terry Thomas here in a few moments to find out where some job opportunities are. Terry's on the phone with us right now. Terry Thomas, good morning to you.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Hope you're doing well on this Monday morning.
Yes, sir.
Good. Tell us where some jobs are, Terry.
Okay, we're going to start in the Rutherfordton area. We have a janitor position. This job requires 6 months experience, and the pay is $8 an hour. We have a machine operator. This job requires a high school diploma and at least 1 year of manufacturing experience, and this job pays from $12 to $13 an hour, depending upon experience. We have a receiving clerk for the Rutherfordton area. This job also requires a high school diploma and at least 1 year working in the warehouse, and this job pays up to $13 an hour, depending upon experience. Over in the Spindle area, we have an inbound sales representative position in a call center. This job requires a high school diploma and at least 6 months of sales experience or customer service. And this job pays $9.50 an hour, depending upon experience. Over in the Far City area, we have various textile positions through a staffing agency. These positions include drawing, spinning, warping, and carding. These jobs pay $10.90 an hour. Another staffing agency also has a clean room personnel experience, and it pays $8.50 an hour. Over in the Tryon area, we have a commercial truck driver that requires a Class A CDL license. You must have at least 6 months experience, and this job pays up to $16 an hour, depending upon experience. In the Columbus area, we have a financial sales manager position. This is working for a bank. This job requires a high school diploma and at least 5 years experience, or they prefer a bachelor's degree and 2 years experience, and the pay also depends upon experience. We have an executive director position in the Columbus area. This job requires a bachelor's degree and 2 years experience, and the starting pay is $45,000 a year. We also have a safety coordinator position in the Columbus area. This job requires a bachelor's degree and at least 5 years experience, and the pay depends upon experience. And also in the Columbus area, we have a production associate position. This job requires a high school diploma and at least 1 year of manufacturing experience, and it pays $9 an hour. And these are just a few of the jobs that we have available at the Rutherford County NC Works Career Center. We are located at 223 Charlotte Road in Rutherfordton. For more information on these or other positions, you can call us at 286-3042, or you can go on our website at www.ncworks.gov.
Terry, thank you so very much for this information. I hope folks will take it to heart, and we'll look forward to talking to you again next Monday.
It's my pleasure.
Thanks, Terry. Bye-bye. That's Terry Thomas there with the Job Market Report. 10 minutes after 8 o'clock, congratulations to Darius and April Watkins of Doggett's Grove. 6-year wedding anniversary, and they won the donuts this morning. Congratulations to them. We've got some news from here and there and some comments along the way, perhaps, in just a moment.
Washburn and Dorsey Funeral and Cremation Service supports the mission and the good work of the volunteers of the Church of the Exceptional and reminds you that their donation address is Post Office Box 46, Caroline, North Carolina, 28019. Washburn and Dorsey Funeral and Cremation Service owner Kent Dorsey and staff thank the dedicated volunteers at the Church of the Exceptional for their mission in Rutherford County. In a day of out-of-state owned funeral homes in the area, Washburn and Dorsey is one of your locally owned funeral homes.
Do you need some extra money in your pocket? Try Insurance Service Associates, your local independent agent. We can shop your auto and home insurance with several companies to get you better coverage and the best rate. Insurance Service Associates at 127 East Trade Street in Forest City for auto, home, or commercial insurance. More choices, better coverage, best rate. That's Insurance Service Associates, 245-5301.
Some of the stories we're looking at this morning, according to the Daily Courier, is a second armed robbery in Spindale happened. For the second time in 2 months, there has been an armed robbery at Deb's Mini Mart, East Main Street in Spindale. Police Chief Eric Shelton said the latest robbery occurred Wednesday, June 6, just before midnight. On Thursday, suspect Christopher Tyrick Laws of Spindale Street, Spindale, was arrested and has been charged with armed robbery with and unrelated charges of failure to appear in court. Laws is being held under a $75,000 bond for the armed robbery and $5,000 for failure to appear in court on driving while impaired and driving after underage drinking. Shelton said the suspect entered the store and demanded money from the clerk while displaying a firearm. The suspect attempted to conceal his identity by the use of a white shirt over his face. After receiving the money, Shelton said the suspect left on foot. Evidence gathered during the investigation with the help of Rutherford County Sheriff's Office and the Rutherfordton Police Department led to the arrest of Laws Thursday. Officers are still seeking information on the arrest of the person involved in the Easter Sunday morning, April 1st armed robbery at Deb's Mini Mart. Shelton said investigation continues to see if the cases are related. Detective S. Blair said the video camera at Deb's did not get a clear photo of the April 1st suspect, but officers believe the person was a black male between 6'1" and 6'3", and weighed approximately 225 pounds to 250 pounds. He entered the store and pointed a gun at a male cashier and told the clerk to clear out the safe. Meanwhile, the Courier is also reporting that 2 vehicles collided on Oak Street in Forest City Thursday at approximately 5 p.m. near MacArthur Street, resulting in 4 people being taken to the hospital. According to the Forest City Police Department, Jerry Whiteside of Hamilton Road, Rutherfordton, was driving a 2007 Nissan, and Jacqueline Knight of Forest City was driving a 2019 Chevy. Knight told police officers Whiteside pulled out in front of her onto Oak Street from MacArthur Street, causing her to hit his car. Whiteside said he was attempting to cross Oak Street from MacArthur Street after leaving the Forest City Fire Department when his vehicle was struck. Whiteside, his two passengers, Gene Wiley Azor and Cornelius Whiteside, and Knight, were transported to the hospital. Also assisting at the scene were Forest City Fire and Rescue, Rutherford County EMS, and Rutherford County Rescue, and the investigation continues in that case. A date has been set for the initial court appearance of two business people who face federal charges of fraud conspiracy in connection with an unemployment insurance benefit scheme. Marlon Kent Covington and Diane Mary McKinney, both of Rutherfordton, are scheduled to appear in the federal courthouse in Asheville Monday, June 18th at 9 and 9:45 a.m. respectively. The hearings will take place in courtroom 2 with Judge Dennis Howell presiding in that case. 3 dead at a North Carolina home where a 2-year-old was found unharmed. Over in Morganton, authorities say 3 people have been found dead in and around a North Carolina home where a 2-year-old child was found unharmed. Burke County deputies said someone called 911 around 7:45 a.m. Friday to report what appeared to be a dead person in a vehicle outside a Morganton home. Investigators say 2 other bodies were found inside along with the child, who appeared unharmed but was taken to be examined. Deputies said in a news release they want to talk to 61-year-old Kenneth Powell about the deaths. They called him a person of interest. Authorities identified the people killed as 22-year-old Brianna Stamey, 57-year-old Pamela Ward, and 23-year-old Trey Ward. They were all shot. Thank God the baby was not hurt. Meanwhile, down in Spartanburg, crews rescued a woman who fell from a dam in Spartanburg County Sunday evening. According to the Reedville Fire Department, a woman was swimming with a group of friends when she climbed onto a bridge before falling into the water. The woman then fell over the dam into the river. The dam is located just off Silver Lake Road near Barry Shoals Road. Firefighters used ropes to rescue the victim. The victim's condition is not known at the time of this reporting. Firefighters from Reedville Fire Department were assisted by the Startex Fire Department and the Duncan Fire Department. 4 county deputies also assisted in that rescue. 17 minutes after 8 o'clock, the Sheriff's Report coming up here in just a few moments with Officer King right after these words.
Dr. Josh Edgerton is the newest addition to Rutherford Surgical Associates. Dr. Edgerton is highly trained in performing laparoscopies, endoscopies, reflux surgeries, vein closure, and other surgeries. Rutherford Surgical Associates is located at 330 Highway 108, just around the corner from Rutherford Regional Medical Center. For more information about Rutherford Surgical Associates and Dr. Edgerton, call 828-286-1743 or visit myrutherfordregional.com/general surgery.
Spring is in the air, and if you find yourself in need of a new nebulizer, remember Smith's Drugs. We have a variety of character nebulizers to help you take care of your breathing needs. We have fire trucks, trains, penguins, panda bears, and boring green ones too. Come see us at Home Medical Department at 139 East Main Street, Forest City.
Nothing can ever compare to the feeling of completing many years of hard work and determination. The staff of Bostic Florist on Main Street in Bostic would like to extend best wishes for this year's graduating class, and special congratulations go out to Elijah Melton, East High School, Chelsea Shepherd, East High, Hunter McCall, Freedom High School in Morganton, and Hannah Smith, Campbell Law School. Much deserved success for a bright future, and remember, Bostic Florist for all your floral needs. This message has been brought to you from your friends at Bostic Florist, Main Street in Bostic.
Now here is Officer King with the Sheriff's Department with our morning report.
In the past 48 hours, the Sheriff's Department responded to 267 calls for service. There were 21 arrests processed in the jail, and the jail currently has 180 people incarcerated. On our incident reports, Casey Maccabee from Cherry Mountain Street in Ellenboro reported a misdemeanor larceny. Robert Griffey, also from Cherry Mountain Street in Ellenboro, reported breaking and entering a motor vehicle and misdemeanor larceny and damage to personal property. Doyle Henderson from East High Road in Bostic reported a first-degree burglary, larceny after breaking and entering, and injury to real property. Had a metal safe with 2 handguns taken. A George Wingo from Edward Street Extension in Rutherford reported attempted break and entering. Larry Vickers from Vickers Road in Rutherford reported breaking and entering and larceny after breaking and entering. Had some hand tools taken. James Collins from Cherry Mountain Street in Ellenboro reported a break and enter in a motor vehicle and larceny from a vehicle. The Dutch Broad Restaurant in Cliffside reported injury to real property. Benjamin Lewiski from Main Street in Ellenboro reported break and enter in a motor vehicle and felony larceny. And then on our arrest reports, Betty Weeks from Aussie Drive in Bostic was served with failure to appear on a misdemeanor, received a $500 secured bond. Janae Green from Piney Mountain Church Road in Ellenboro was arrested and charged with felonious restraint, received a $10,000 secured bond. Joshua Gibson from Big Island Road was arrested and charged with first-degree burglary, larceny after breaking and entering, and injury to real property, received an $80,000 secured bond. Greg Payne, listed as homeless, was arrested and charged with second-degree trespass. William Squires from Chestnut Street in Tryon was served with a criminal summons for harassing phone call. Jordan Carroll from Darlington Road in Rutherford was served with a criminal summons for simple assault. And Allison Kraft, who's listed as homeless, was arrested and charged with second-degree trespass, breaking and entering a motor vehicle, and larceny from a vehicle, received a $5,100 secured bond. And that's all we have for today.
Reaching 10 counties from the county seat of Rutherford. This is the mighty 590 WCAB, Rutherfordton.
Well, the North Carolina Department of Transportation says the maintenance has been completed after a lane of Interstate 26 was shut down on the Henderson County Bridge. Some of you may have been passing that way, and they'd shut it down because of a bad section there on the bridge. The westbound lane was closed after a hole was found on the Peter Geist Bridge around 9 a.m. Saturday morning. The lane was blocked off for emergency repairs. It is now open again, and they have completed that repair work, and it is traveling safely through that way. Glad they caught that. Glad they caught that. Well, there have been the final. I don't think this is final, but a report has now come in that 57 homes were damaged from the recent storms and slides over in Polk County. The heavy rains, more than 23 inches since May 15th, have caused damage to 57 homes, 5 of which were completely destroyed. Polk County Emergency Management Director Bobby Arledge gave a mudslide and flooding update to the commissioners during a meeting on Monday. Of the 57 homes touched by the recent disaster, 5 were completely destroyed, 6 had major damage, 12 had minor damage, and at least 29 others were affected. There's probably going to be more coming up, Arledge said. As of right now, we are still not declared a federal disaster. We're under a state emergency and local, but nothing from federal just yet. A disaster recovery center has been set up for last Saturday from 10 a.m. until 5 at the Polk County Library. The American Red Cross, the North Carolina Baptist Men's Disaster Relief Ministry, as well as local and state agencies were present to offer support and assistance to anyone in need. Arledge said there have been a tremendous outpouring of support for the county from state and local agencies, nonprofits, and residents offering to help. So they're still doing a lot of work over there. Arledge said Governor Roy Cooper visited last week and said the North Carolina Department of Transportation will pick up debris from the road. Congressman Patrick Henry also has visited. And so they're all, everybody's looking to try to be as much help as possible. Speaking of Congressman Patrick McHenry, I have an interview I will be playing tomorrow morning at 8:30. Interviewed him last week when he was in town. Have not had an opportunity to air that yet. We'll do that tomorrow morning, 8:30 here. You'll hear all that conversation with Congressman Patrick McHenry while he was with us here in WCAB. Stand by. Sports Update is next. 8:30. Word of Faith speaks out live here on the radio.
NCN Sports. Good morning. I'm Tony Rixby. Max Miller driving in 4 runs. The Duke Blue Devils avoided elimination again with an 11-2 win over Texas Tech in the Super Regional in Lubbock, Texas yesterday. Head coach Chris Pollard.
It starts with the fact that we got an unbelievable pitching outing from Graham Stinson. The job that he did on the mound allowed us to get our offense going.
In interleague play in the majors yesterday, the Mets shutting out the Yankees 2-0. White Sox over the Red Sox 5-2. Blue Jays beating the Orioles 13-3. Tigers falling to the Cleveland Indians 9-2. Astros beat the Rangers 8-7. In National League play, Dodgers 7, the Atlanta Braves 2. The Nationals shut out by the San Francisco Giants 2-0. Pirates beat the Cubs 7-1. Reds over the Cardinals 6-3. Dustin Johnson picking up a big win yesterday, reclaiming his slot as the top-ranked golfer in the world, a dominant win at the St. Jude Classic. Let's get more now from correspondent Graham Agars in Memphis.
Dustin Johnson has reclaimed the world #1 ranking after a spectacular finish to the FedEx St. Jude Classic in Memphis. Johnson holed a brilliant shot from the rough for an eagle 2 on the long par 4 closing hole, that to post a final round 66 for a tournament total of 19 under. In the end, that was good enough for a very comfortable 6-shot win over Andrew Putnam. It was his second success at the Tennessee tournament, and his victory secured his 18th career win on the tour so far. It also propels him into the US Open as one of the firm favourites. I'm Graham Agars.
In WNBA action yesterday, the Liberty over Indiana 78-75. Sparks beat Chicago 77-59. Atlanta with a win over Seattle 67-64. You're listening to NCN Sports.
School safety, prison safety, Gen X, incentives, teacher pay, taxes, spending. As state lawmakers tackle these and other issues, Carolina Journal is there, giving you the latest information. Available each month as a free newspaper. Every day online at carolinajournal.com. Carolina Journal, your #1 source for government news that affects you. Visit carolinajournal.com today.
Have you ever noticed how little things can make a big difference? Letting someone with an item or two check out in front of you, especially when you have a cart full. By the way, it doesn't take any time to smile at a grumpy checkout clerk. Maybe they've been working a long shift. It takes so little time, but it works wonders. In North Carolina, we have always taken pride in being kind to everybody. Little things do make a difference. Makes you feel better. Makes everyone around you feel better.
Clint Boyer won his second NASCAR Cup Series race of the year when the event at Michigan was called early because of rain. Boyer beating out Kevin Harvick on the restart to begin the third stage. He says, though, it's no doubt in his mind, if it had not rained, he would have finished second to Harvick.
We're all doing the things that we take that it takes to be there and compete for a championship at the end. The 4-car is knocking it out of the park. I mean, one more lap and he'd have won another damn race.
Men's top seed Rafael Nadal winning his 11th French Open title.
Of course, I have ambition. Of course, I have passion for what I'm doing. But I never have been crazy about all this kind of stuff. No, you cannot be frustrated always if somebody have more money than you, if somebody have a bigger house than you, if somebody have more Grand Slams than you.
Roger Federer has the record with 20 Grand Slams. Tony Rixby, NCN Sports.
We'll start the week partly to mostly cloudy today with some scattered showers and thunderstorms, especially in the afternoon. A few of those could produce some locally heavy downpours or localized damaging wind gusts. We'll have highs around 84 to 90 degrees. Then tonight, mainly cloudy with a chance of thunder showers at times. We'll have lows in the mid-60s to around 70. Tuesday should be mostly cloudy and cooler. We'll have some hit-and-miss showers and maybe a storm or two. Highs 75 to 80. I'm Mike Moss in the Weather Center.
Currently we have 73 degrees, sunny skies. A beautiful day to get started with. We may have some clouds later on this afternoon and maybe even tonight some shower possibilities. But the rest of the week, it's going to be off and on. Some sun, some clouds, and possibility of some rain developing throughout the week. But we can get through that as well. Right now, again, 73 degrees, and it's 8:30 almost. And this is WCAB Rutherford. Welcome to the Word of Faith Responds. This series of programs will address the issues concerning the negative news reports. This program is paid for by Word of Faith, and the views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the management and staff of WCAB. Now here is Word of Faith Responds.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome again to Word of Faith Responds. This is Mark Morris, and it's so good to be with you this morning, and we appreciate you listening to us. We have been sharing for 6 months now about the wonderful things that God has done in our lives at the Word of Faith. We've also been sharing with you about the allegations that have been at our church, and we've answered so many questions that have been raised over the years. And so if you want to see our past radio programs, you can go to our website. That's wordoffaithfellowship.org, and you'll see a radio program link. Just go to that link and you will be able to see all the radio programs. They have some titles under them, and you can find things that maybe you have questions about. But I've been sharing also testimonies of how Jesus has touched our lives, and so today we also have another testimony from Mark Cornelius, who joined our church actually in 1989, about 1 year before I came. And Mark is actually a doctor. He is an emergency room doctor, and Mark and I have been friends for years and years and years, and he came from Montana, and I believe you're going to be very touched when you hear his testimony of all the wonderful things Jesus has done in his life. So let's listen to Mark.
Thank you, and thanks, Jim. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to share my testimony. So my name is Mark Cornelius, and I had a very different background than most people. I'm Native American, if you can't tell, and I grew up in Montana, which is sort of like a totally different world. I've met lots of North Carolinians, and they all love Montana and say they want to go, but it's a very different place. And I'm a sixth out of 8 children. There were 7 boys and 1 girl, so we came from a very big family. And that was really important to my dad. He was an orphan. His father abandoned his mother right shortly after his birth, and then his mother died when he was 2, and he went to live with his grandmother. So family was something that was extremely important to him. He grew up with his cousins, but and my mother grew up on the Indian reservation in Montana. Well, they kind of went back and forth because her father was for work. He went different places, but it was really important, and that kind of forms your core of who you are. It's really unusual because when you come to North Carolina, it's so different. One of the things that I definitely saw was how people just really love and accept Native Americans, and to North Carolinians, when I try to explain this to them, they don't understand that there is a whole nother feeling about being a Native American in different parts of the world. And it kind of makes sense in one sense, is that when you grow up in Montana, it was, I grew up in the 70s and 80s in Montana. And at that point, it was less than 100 years ago when the settlers and the Indians were actually fighting, for blood. And so these people still had resentful feelings toward each other. And so when I grew up in Billings, Montana, to being a Native American, I can only think of one other family that was Native Americans, and we weren't friends. And for years I didn't understand why, but they were a different tribe. They were Crow, and apparently the Crows were the ones who were always provided the scouts for the U.S. Cavalry, so all the other Indian tribes hated the Crows. So we were just never friends with them, and they would never be friendly to us. I mean, I always knew they were Native Americans, and so I always wanted to try to be their friends, but they would never be friends with us back. So you grew up very alone, and it was very different, and people hated us. I remember as a small child hearing people say, "Oh, they're just a bunch of wild Indians," and parents saying that you can't play with those children. They're just a bunch of they're just a bunch of wild Indians. They're just going to grow up to be drunks, or they're going to be hobos. They're going to be criminals, and they would say those things, and you always felt that, and that's the way that people treat you sort of begins to form who you are, because when people expect these things of you, you don't know if you should expect something different, and so I grew up that way with that sense that that I wasn't going to be accepted. And it's very, very different. I remember even as a small child that sometimes I would go into stores with my friends who were white because that's who I knew. That was what was around me. And I remember going into the store, and sometimes as we would leave, the officer would begin to follow me around, and I would get frisked as I left the store, and my friends did not. And I remember very distinctly as a young man saying, I'm not going to be that way. I don't want to be like them. And so I would, sometimes I would see them shoplift or something, and they would go out and nothing would ever happen. But then my bags would go through and I had to empty out my pockets and do all these things. And it was hurtful. And so you would grow up with this wound on the inside of you that just seemed to go on. And it's difficult to totally explain, just the depth that it went to, where people just simply refuse to interact with you because of the color of your skin or because of who you are. And we grew up Catholic, so we didn't really have a great understanding of who Jesus was. We understood that God was real. We understood that we loved him and we wanted to know him, but you didn't really read the Bible. That was never encouraged. I remember as a young man, the Bible in my house was this great big thing about this big that my brother taught me that was for pressing leaves. And that's what the Bible was for. I mean, we didn't really know it, and it had a lot of pictures in it, and it was, had the gold leaf, but we didn't really understand it. And so I remember the priest sometimes talking to us about Jesus, and I wanted to understand more about Jesus, but it was always very limited, the teaching that you got. And so you didn't really understand him. Well, when I was a younger man, back in the early 80s, there was a movement in the Catholic Church called the Charismatic Movement, where people began to talk about the Holy Spirit, and they began to talk about Jesus, and that was being introduced into the Catholic Church. And so my grandfather, he accepted Jesus in his life. And when he did, he began to tell his children about it. So he told my Aunt Rose and my mom, and they heard about it. And so they began to start going to church. And so when my mother started seeing this, she knew this is something that she wanted. And so my mother began to pray. And that was the thing that I saw that changed most about my mom. When she saw Jesus, she began to pray all the time. When there was something that happened, something wasn't going right, if there was strife, if there was something going on, I remember going by my mother's room and I could hear her pray. And I always knew that. And sometimes even if I was doing something bad or I was misbehaving, and I knew my mother was praying. And so sometimes I would stop what I was doing. I felt conviction from God come on me for the things that I was doing, and I would stop just because my mother would pray. And she would come and she would sit down my younger brothers and I, because we were on the tail end. My older brothers had been gone off and were married and different things. She would set us down and she would try to tell us about Jesus. And we didn't really understand to that point. And then one day my mom convinced me, and I went to this Assemblies of God church in Montana. And we lived on the wrong side of town. We grew up very poor. As you imagine, if you have 10 family members, you don't have a whole lot of money. And we didn't. And so we grew up on the wrong side of the tracks. In Billings, there's a railroad track which separates the city. So there's a south side and the north side. Well, I grew up on the south side. So being that side of the city, so we went to the Spanish Assembly of God. And we went there this one time, and there was this preacher there, and I had never heard anyone tell me about how Jesus had died for me. I never heard that. And I never understood that. He began to lay out the gospel. And when he did, I remember being 12 years old, and I heard that. And for the first time in my life, I understood that God accepted me. And just hearing that alone was it was so important to me. I remember just feeling the love of God just come on me. I remember feeling the Spirit of God begin to touch my heart, and I just started weeping, and I couldn't stop weeping. And the minister was from Alabama, and he was this black gentleman, and I'll never forget it. He saw the Spirit of God on me, and he pointed at me, and he said yes. He said, he's talking to you. And he turned around, and then he said, I don't know how else to say it. And so he was speaking in very proper English, but he grew up in rural Alabama, and he said, let me let me say it the way I would say it. And he'd say, when Jesus is in your heart, he said, and you're a Christian, he said, son, he goes, either you is or you ain't. And I'll never forget that. And that just went on the inside of me, and I realized I wasn't. And so I wanted Jesus, and I just started to cry out, and the Spirit of God just fell on me right then and there, and I began to change. And that was the beginning of something. But without anyone to teach you, you fall into things because you just don't know. And that's kind of how I spent my life, sort of falling in between sin and falling in between, following after God. The things that I knew, I did. The things I didn't know, I was just out there for the devil to destroy me. And that was something that when I was praying about this lesson, how can I explain to someone, the beginning of me coming to Jesus and the devastation and the things that were allowed to be in my life because I just didn't know any better. And God brought me to Proverbs, and it says in Proverbs 29:17, and this is out of the Amplified Bible, and I like this one because it explodes it a little bit more and kind of tells exactly what God was trying to speak there. And he says, where there is no vision, no redemptive revelation of God, the people perish. But he who keeps the law of God, which includes that of man, blessed, happy, fortunate, and enviable is he. And that was kind of what happened, is that in my life, I didn't know God. I didn't understand God. God was drawing me. God was trying to bring me to that place to know him, but there wasn't anyone to teach. There was no one to tell. There was no one to show me. And so you wind up getting into situations that were dangerous because no one spoke to you about God, so you didn't know the difference between right and wrong. And so I remember shortly after I got born again, I was seeking after God, and I used to pray, and I didn't know any better, and so I would just come up to people and try to tell them about Jesus because I was so excited. And my brother and I would get on his moped, and we would go to different people's houses, and we would tell them about Jesus because we were just so excited, because I couldn't believe that this man had died for me, and I was so astounded and touched. I had to tell everyone, but like I said, we grew up in this, and even though God began to change us, God didn't change where we were. And so my grandfather had a heart attack when I was 12 years old, and it really affected me, because I found out as a 12-year-old boy, how do you process the fact that my grandfather had this massive heart attack, and the ambulance wouldn't come on the reservation to get him because he was on the reservation. So my grandmother had to shoulder my grandfather, throw him in the back of the pickup truck, drive outside the reservation for the ambulance to come and get him because they refused to come on the reservation. How do you explain that? And so I remember being wounded and offended. I was offended at God because why would you let that happen? And so my grandfather went to the hospital and he wound up dying, and I remember being offended at that point, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't, and that really affected my life, and that opened the door for all sorts of bad things to happen to me because of my offense towards God. Because I kept thinking, you're not fair. How could you allow that to happen to my grandfather? And so it affected me, and so I wound up getting involved in alcohol at a very young age. I remember drinking in 6th grade, which sounds astounding to a lot of people, and other people that are like, no, that's about right, and they know that. And I remember being involved in just criminal activities and all these things, and yet at the same time there would be times when I would hear my mother praying, and I would stop. And I would make a 180 degrees, and I would turn away, and I would begin to go back towards God. And so I remember that happening, and all throughout my life. And then what happened is when I was 14 years old, my mom started going to this new church, because she took us out of the Catholic Church because we were asked to leave, because my mom started teaching people about the Holy Spirit in her catechism class, and they didn't care for that. So we were gently asked to leave the Catholic Church. So we started going to this new church, and it was an unaffiliated church, and that's when I met Sam and Jane. And I'll never forget about Sam, because the one thing in my life that I always knew is I knew that I wanted God, and I knew that there were things in my life that kept me from going to God. And Sam was teaching the people about how to begin to cry out to God. And I'll never forget that. I heard that cry, and I went in, and I actually came late to that service, and Sam was in there. And he was just weeping before the people, showing them, demonstrating them how to turn to God. And he began to pray and talked about the things in his life, like the sexual sin or the anger that he had towards Jane, all these things, and began to pour out his heart. And when he did, I recognized that was the same cry that was in my heart that I felt all those years, because when Jesus begins to come in your heart, if someone doesn't teach you, you have this dichotomy, you have this pull. You have this pull to be in the world because everyone wants to be accepted. Everyone wants to be loved. But if you don't know that God is that love that is for you, and people don't guide you and show you, you begin to pull towards the love that's available. You begin to pull towards the acceptance that's available to you. And that's exactly what happened to me. And so when I heard Sam begin to pray like that, I knew that was right. It's like I heard that prayer and I said, that's for me. And I remember sitting there in that service, and I was 14 years old, and I heard in that service the Spirit of God said, and you're going to go with him. And I knew that. I knew that I loved Sam and Jane, and I knew I needed to go to them. And this, you have to understand, in 1980, a lot of people can't even comprehend. It's like, in order to make a phone call, you had to actually have a physical phone. It was expensive. Ma Bell was expensive and all these things. So it wasn't like I had this connection and it was easy to even imagine getting there. I didn't even know how to get there. I didn't know.
Were they visiting in Montana? Now, do you know, were they living here in North Carolina at that time and had a church here?
I believe that at that time that they were actually still at Rhema, but they were talking. But what happened is Sam began to share in that service. He said, we're going to start a Bible school in North Carolina. And it was like someone sitting next to me said, and you're going to go. And it was the Spirit of God. And he spoke that to me. And I knew that. So from the time I was 14 years old, I knew I was going to go. And I knew I had to go. I just knew it. Like I knew my name. So you don't really see them, so it's kind of difficult for a lot of listeners to imagine. But those of us who are older like me can remember that, if you didn't live, a lot in the proximity of someone, that you didn't really have much interaction at all. It was difficult. It was hard. And if you live in Montana, that's even harder. Because it was so far away. I remember I went on a missionary trip to Africa. It was easier to get to Africa than it is to get to Montana. So. So at that point, I began to have a hunger for God. I started reading my Bible, and we were introduced to this new church, and we started learning about the things of God, just little baby steps, and it was really important. And my father, in order to be able to support, a family of 10, 8 children and my mom and dad, he had to find work, So he started working on the pipeline in Alaska when I was 5. And so from that point on, my father was gone from my life a lot, because when you work in Alaska, you work for 3 to 6 months at a time, and then you come home for a couple weeks, then you go back. So it was almost like my dad was in the military. He just wasn't there. And so, sometimes my older brothers would be my father to me, and sometimes they wouldn't. And most of the time they chose not to, but I understand, because that's a big deal. And so when we started going to this church, there was a man there who was part of this church, and he told the pastors, he said, these young boys, my younger brothers and I, he said, they don't really have a father. And he said, I want to be a father to them. I'll take care of them. And so I thought this was great. This sounded like this was the will of God. But it turned out it wasn't. This man, it turns out that he was a child molester. And he began to target us, and he would groom people. He would tell me how nice I was and what a good boy I was. And he bought me this onyx chess set that was so expensive, and did all these things to try to groom me. And I didn't really understand, because when you don't know, you just don't know. And so, but there was a part of me that always was a little bit leery about him. But then I thought, but this is God trying to help me, and I didn't know. And so one day he actually tried to attack me, and I managed to fend him off. But, you know, the thing about people that are predators is they always make it feel like it's your fault. You know, he made me feel like it was my fault that this happened. And so I began to question myself that I did this and I did this. And so we just stopped being together. But then he started grooming one of my younger brothers. And I didn't know about it. And so I would, you know, he stopped helping me. He stopped being around me. He stopped giving me any attention. And I thought, you know, I'd done something wrong. And he started paying attention to my younger brother. And so for years I didn't totally understand, but I was trying to get to know Jesus. And then one day when I was 16 years old, I found out that he had molested my brother. You know, and we were so angry and so hurt about that. And that was another issue that began to affect me, where I said, you know, I don't understand, God. Why did you allow this to happen? And it really hurt me. It hurt me so badly because I felt personally responsible that I had allowed my brother to be molested. And even though I didn't, but yet I didn't know. And so, and my mother was hurt because her faith was hurt, because at that time they said, well, you know, the pastors of the church, because she told them, she said, you know, this man has hurt my son, and they said, you know, we'll deal with it, and they began to have ministerial counseling, but nothing ever came of it. And I remember we were all so offended. But the one thing about my mom is my mom would pray. She believed in Jesus more than she believed in the church. And that was really, really important, because I remember those nights my mom would go into her room and she would just cry out to God, and I could hear her crying out to God. And I remember even sometimes I'd come home from school and you could hear her crying out to God before you even got to the house, 2 or 3 houses down. You could hear her crying out to God because she was desperate. And that was really an anchor that kind of kept me alive, because my mom would take care of us and say, and when she would cry out to God, and that was so important. And I remember so many times, you know, when you know, and so anyway, that after that point happened, when I felt that that I was responsible for my brother being hurt, I began to feel, you know, depressed and angry about it. I wanted to hurt this man, but yet I knew it was wrong. And then because I wanted to hurt this man so badly and I didn't know how to turn it to Jesus, I began to think about hurting myself. I began to think about this all the time. I had these plans. And I'll never forget about this place. One thing about this place that people say, you know, that they try to groom you or pull you in. But you know what? The only thing that they wanted from me, because truthfully there was nothing. If you wanted me, you wanted nothing, because you got nothing. I had nothing. And so this person from the church would call me on the phone whenever it was to the point where I was really ready to kill myself.
Talking about from Word of Faith Fellowship.
From Word of Faith Fellowship, yeah. They would call me all the way from North Carolina to Montana, and they would say, I want to talk to Mark, and they would begin to pray over me. And when they did, it was like the only way I can explain it is when I was reading the Bible. I would read about when Saul, the king who was before David, when God had rejected him, and it said an evil spirit came upon Saul, and David would come and play before the Lord, and the spirit would come off of him. And that's exactly how I felt. I mean, I felt like there was just darkness would come on me, and it would change. As soon as this person prayed for me, I could feel it, even though everything in me, I didn't want to talk on the phone. And she would say to my brother or my mother, she'd say, just hold the phone to his ear. And I would just listen. I would be sitting there just stubborn and angry at God. And I could feel, as soon as she did it, it was like watching ice melt, you know, because there was still a seed of God on the inside of me that would respond to that prayer in spite of my own will to choose not to. And so that really kept me alive for years. And so I went through high school, and towards the end of high school, you know, I didn't really have any plans at that point, because I didn't know how to get to North Carolina, because it's hard to explain, but only other people who have lived in an area of prejudice, they're the only ones who can really explain when no one tells you that you're a good person. When no one tells you that you can make it, when no one explains to you that there's help for you, you don't have any vision. You don't see yourself 5 years from now. You don't see yourself being successful or going to college. I never thought about going to college. And the strange thing is that in my class, my GPA was 3.959, which is really, really high. You know, this is back before the days of when you could be like a 4.5 or whatever. I mean, it was a straightforward 4 was the top. And the only reason I wasn't a perfect student is because I was tired of the fist fights I got into with people who were because of always doing well. So I intentionally got a couple of B's in English. And so when here I was in high school and I was graduating, and I remember the counselor, because she had to sit down everyone. She said, "Mark, what do you want to do when you go?" And I said, I guess I'll do construction or something, and maybe I'll join the Army. And she said, "Okay." And it was years later that I found out that if you were a Native American in Montana, there was money set aside for you. And truthfully, all you had to do was to be a 3.0 student, and the University of Montana would have paid for you all 4 years, full ride, no questions asked, even money to live on. There was a stipend. She didn't even tell me about it. She didn't tell me. And she didn't even bother to tell me that in Montana, if you're in the top 5% of your class, you're allowed to go to the local college. And the only thing you have to pay for is your room and board. They'll pay for your books and everything. She didn't even tell me that. So I just thought that's all there was for me. So here I was, graduated from high school. So I went to work for UPS, and I was a temp worker. But I got on really early in September, and so I was working at UPS and trying to figure out what to do. And I started to come to youth seminars in North Carolina. And when I did, I began to have this hunger on the inside of me. I'll never forget the hunger that I felt in these people, because my mom wanted me to know about Jesus. And it was such a contrast from where I was in Montana. I remember one time she sent me to this Assemblies of God camp when I was 15. And I'll never forget, because I wanted to know Jesus. And I remember at one point I was laying in these bunk with these 4 other boys, and these boys looked at me and they said, "You really believe this stuff, don't you?" And here I was supposed to be at this camp full of Christians. And I'll never forget the man who was with me, who was kind of our I don't know what you call him, counselor, or basically it was an adult in the room to keep us from going crazy. And he told those guys, he said, "Leave him alone." He said, "He wants Jesus." And so they did. And so at that point, I began to recognize, so it was always like this dichotomy, because no one was there to teach me. No one was there to show me the right way. And if you don't have the right way, you're destroyed. Just like I was saying in that, without the redemptive vision of God. And that was what God began to bring me, and that's what I wanted to come here. So I had to work for IBM, because my job for UPS ran out, and so I was working there, and as part of their stipulation, I had to go to college. So I went to college, and that's when I found out that I actually could go for free. So I went. So they paid for me to go, and I was working there, and all of a sudden God began to remind me about what He had told me when I was 14, and so I remember going to my boss, and I said, "Mr. Banks, I have to quit." And I thought, I'm in so much trouble, because here I'd worked so hard there. And he said, "That's the most wonderful thing I've ever heard in my life." And so still at the same time, I didn't have any money. And so I was saying, how am I going to get to Montana? I didn't know what to do.
How are you going to get to North Carolina?
Yeah, to get to Montana. Yeah, get to North Carolina. And so it turned out that I had the highest GPA in my class at Eastern Montana College. So they gave me a cash reward, which they never do that. It's always a stipend that you have to turn back over to the college. But they gave me a cash reward. And so it turned out that this was enough cash for me to buy a one-way ticket to Charlotte, North Carolina, and to take all of my belongings, to pack them up in a box, and to mail them, which my belongings was basically one duffel bag and a bicycle. So I mailed them UPS, and then I came.
And we just have a minute left, but what year was that you came here?
That was 1989.
And just tell, in closing, just some of the things that God did in your heart when you came here. I know growing up, you had the prejudice that try to form who you were, try to really oppress you and make you think you're something you're not. But what did God do in your heart when you came here?
God did so many things. One of the first things that God did, He says that He will give you pastors after His own heart. And that was one of the biggest things that happened to me, because when you don't know God, you don't even know what it is. You don't know what it is to have a father who loves you and who cares for you and who wants to help you, who's not this big stick in the sky wanting to beat you and saying you did this wrong and you did that wrong. I never understood that God accepts you and he loves you and he's just there to help you and to be a father, to guide you and to train you to follow him. And that was the biggest revelation that I had when I came here. And that's one of the things that, when your heart is after God, God will make a way for people to come to you. And if I have the opportunity to come back and share, I'll have to really get into that, to really share that. But, it was so important that when I came here, that God put people in my life like Carol Reynolds and Todd Reynolds, who immediately became parents to me. Sam and Jane, who became parents to me. I grew up my life, because my father was gone all the time. He was a good father, but he wasn't there for me. And so I didn't know what it was to have parents, to have a father in my life. And they took that place in my life to be parents to me, to begin to teach me and show me that God loves me, and to show me that my actions have consequences, to show me that I can make a difference in this world. And and when all those dreams are crushed because of who you are, it's like those things began to come alive on the inside of me. God began to show me, that you really can be. You can be something, Mark. You can be a doctor. You can do all these things. You can, and in my whole life, the core of who I am is that God brought me here to Bible school to be a minister, to know that Jesus Christ loved me and that he was here to redeem me. And because of that, when I see other people, and I take that into my work as a doctor, when I see people that are hurting, I'll never forget the places where I came from. I'll never forget the time when no one was there to help me. And I'm grateful that Jesus allowed me to be a doctor, because I will be that person to help you if I can.
Very good, Mark, and thank you so much. What a powerful testimony. What a miracle that God has done in your life, and bringing you here all the way from Montana and very remote area there. And so thank you again, and thank you, listeners, for joining us today. This is Word of Faith Response. We're here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 8:30 to 9 a.m. Thank you.
Just head down that way, okay?
I'm sorry, I'm freaking out.
Nope, that's okay.
Thank you.
A Tennessee grandmother is facing child endangerment charges. Police say she forced two of her grandchildren to ride in dog carriers in the back of her SUV. This is ABC News.
This is a special announcement for all Americans who owe back taxes to the IRS or state. Pay attention. There's a special toll-free hotline set up especially for you. This hotline will give you free information on how you can legally reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call the Taxpayer Hotline today at 800-441-1943. Grab a pen or put the number in your cell phone. 800-441-1943. You'll speak with qualified professionals who'll tell you how to stop the collection calls, IRS letters, bank levies, and wage garnishments. And they'll deal directly with the IRS on your behalf, so you don't have to. Even if you haven't filed returns or you already are in a payment plan, you can still get relief. New IRS settlement policies have opened the doors for a fresh start. But hurry, this won't last forever, and your tax problem will only get worse if you do nothing or try to handle it yourself. It makes a big difference in who you call. So call the Taxpayer Hotline today for free information. 800-441-1943. 800-441-1943.
Brought to you by South Coast Tax.
Sliced fruit. It's now blamed for a salmonella outbreak in 8 states. ABC's Ryan Burrow.
The CDC says more than 30 of those sickened by pre-cut melon in the Midwest have been hospitalized. Illinois Public Health Director Dr. Nirav Shah says salmonella contamination can be serious.
Salmonella is an infection that causes severe diarrhea, fever, and abdominal cramps. Usually those symptoms occur anywhere from 12 hours to 3 days after people eat the food that was contaminated by the bacteria.
The recall includes pre-cut melon in clear plastic clamshell containers from stores like Walmart, Walgreens, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, and Costco. Ryan Burrow, ABC News, Chicago.
You should throw those out if you've got them. There are new calls in Texas for improvements to school safety.
This is Jim Ryan in Texas, where school safety has been top of mind since the Santa Fe school shooting. But now parents in that district southeast of Houston want to see concrete action, including metal detectors on campuses, fortified doors and windows, mandatory student IDs, and upgraded surveillance cameras. The mother of one survivor of the Santa Fe high school shooting spree says,
if changes aren't made this summer, then